Okay, today I'm finally going to do it. I'm going to show you guys how a crawler sets up his hammock. Okay, it's not how everybody sets up their hammock, because according to me, everybody sets their hammock up wrong. But I'm going to show you how I set up mine and my type. So, I'll be dealing with my buckles and whatnot, because I have a Dutch wear gear chameleon. So they got their own buckle system and whatnot, and it does make it really easy. It's convenient. So I'm not going to be showing you knots or anything. I'm just going to show you how I like to hang and the process in which I go to hang. First off, you got to know the length of your tarp. Mine is a 12 footer, so I've got to find something that is minimum 12 feet. But if it's minimum 12 feet to where my tarp is touching both trees, it makes it harder to get in and out of my tarp because, of course, those are the entry and exit points. So I scan around. I look for things like piles of poo. I don't want to camp next to that because, this has been a pretty good hang. But I don't want to hang next to that. You also, sometimes the storms are coming, you want to see where the flow of water is and say, well, I don't want to hang here either because this turns into a river. You also want to see where water settles. If an area is too flat, that's because that was a puddle of water for a while and all the pine needles and whatnot move out to the edges and it's just nice flat dirt. It seems like an ideal place to camp, and it is until it rains. All right, so there's many spots here. I am going to go. I was at first going to go between that one and that one, but this little tree here is kind of ish in my way as I be out with my tarp. Not quite in my way, but I believe my tarp would be touching it. And I don't like my tarp touching things because things like that have sap on it, and if the wind is moving it all night long, it might do some wear damage. So what I am going to do. Oh, actually, no, I'm seeing something better over there. I was going to be between this one and that one, but I'm liking this over here. Okay, between that tree and that tree. Oh, look at that. With a freaking river going on, man. This is like one of them Instagram spots. Ugh. Okay, so first thing you need to do is know I am hooking up to a dead tree, but it's a huge dead tree. It can hold my ass. I'm not worried about it. It's not a stormy night. You got to know, is it the distance you want? You got to know the distance of your thing. I fortunately have the most perfect feet in the world. If you've ever seen them, you would totally agree. But they happen to be pretty much exactly 1 foot long. So I just measure toe to heel. And I can already tell you this is a little over 14 feet. So that'll work for me. I don't got to toe heel that. All right, so that's step one, is finding your spot. Because, you got to be up there, and you got to think about your horizontal space as well, how wide you're going to take up. So this is pretty much perfect. Okay, step two. I would say storage of your stuff comes into play as well, and then what occasion you're setting up for. Like right now, I'm setting up for leisure. I'm not in a rush. I can do whatever I want. But then there's also setting up in a hurry because you're afraid you're going to get rained on, or you are currently being rained on. So like in that case, I'd already have my pack in the center there, and then I'd throw my tarp up around it, and I'd work from underneath it. But that's a pain in the ass. It really is. You're hunched over the whole time. I get lightheaded and stuff and have to take breaks. But fortunately, we don't have to do that. So I keep all of my sleep stuff in the back of my pack in that stretchy pouch in the order I would need stuff. So it's tarp first. Finally figured out how to tie my strings so that they stay in place. Took me a while to figure that one out. Start at one tree, work to the other. Okay, so I do my tarp line about nipple height is about what I go with. The way my hooks work is pretty simple. It goes through the hook there so you can tighten it up against the tree, and then it goes over that top thing, and then in this bottom one here, it holds it tight so you don't have to do any knots or anything, and it's in there. I could pull, I might snap the string because the string is getting kind of old, but it holds. From there you just literally stretch it out, do this to the other side, and then you cinch it super tight, like to the point where you might actually break the string, because I have broke the string before. But you don't have to do it super duper tight if it's not raining. But if it's gonna storm, do it tight. All right, and then we got about that much room on the other side, and this is all just guesswork. But I've been doing this a while, so I'm able to just guess. So I knew this was about 14 feet just from experience. So I left about a foot-ish on each side. So now I can come and go as I please without bumping into a tree. See how this works is I got it through the hook, and then I pull it tight, and then I just run it through that one over that one, and then in that V shape, and it holds it taut. And that's all you need to do. You don't need no fancy knots to hang a hammock. You just have to have these little buckles. I also, for convenience sake, keep my tent stakes in my chest pocket. Because you got to throw up in a hurry sometimes, man. So, I don't have time to be like, fighting down in my pack for certain things. I want the 2 things I need to set this thing up to be right on top. Because I can get this up in like a minute. It'll be sloppy, but I'll be dry-ish. So now if I do it at nipple height, I am about that high off the ground. I can, of course, get lower to the ground by lowering where I tie the tarp off to. So on really, really cold nights, I'm down another, 6 inches or so, just to give myself a little less air coming through. But this is about what I consider ideal. Enough air comes through to keep me comfortable. I'm warm wise. I can still breathe if my fuel is running, and before I light it, I'm not gassing myself out because there's enough ventilation. And I don't do the doors until I'm inside, but basically I just stake it out. And then I'm going to unstake 2 of these, flip it over, and then do all my hammock stuff so I don't have to hunch over inside of this. How I tie my knots is I got that elastic, what's it called, shock cord. So I got some of that tied it on. And then I have my old little buckle things from another hammock. So I just have them on the line, and then I just wrap it around that a little bit and then put it right in that little hook thing, and it just fits right in there and holds them tight. So they're pretty easy to take on and off. I don't have to do any knots or anything. I can get them as tight as I want, not worry about getting them too tight because, of course, it's elastic shock cord. Here's what one of those little buckles looks like without, all the string going on. It's meant to go through, pull tight, and then go around this top little nub and then get wedged in there, kind of like the other device. But I'm using thicker line on it than it's really meant for, but I don't need it for whatever it was designed for. I like it for this. It works really well. But they have all that stuff on Dutch Wear Gear's site. Not that I'm pitching for them, but they got pretty decent gear, man. It works for me. This is the point in which I scope everything out. I know, I'm deciding which side do I want my head to be on, right? I know with my hammock, you get out of the right side. So if I hang it from there, I'm getting out on this side, there on that side. I'm liking over here for my head, getting out. I like the logs right there when I get out. Maybe help me stand up. Maybe slow a bear attack from getting to my face. It'll come from my feet. Just stuff I think about. Okay, so I look down here and I'm like, any sharp stuff or anything I kick out of the way because I've got really delicate tootsies and I don't want to get hurt. Any twig going into my foot at all is enough to cripple me, possibly the rest of my life. This is a pretty well-kept campsite, so. Okay, next we got the hammock and the straps for it. Now with the straps, mine have a little loop on one side. Through that little loop, I put a little piece of shock cord that glows in the dark, or at least used to. And that's how I keep them in a nice tight bundle, is I just, wrap that little loop around when I'm done. And that's how I store them, because I don't like having straps all over the place. It upsets me. Straps need to look like this until they're being used. The straps are pretty simplistic. You run the one end through the hoop end, you cinch it tight. You have this little buckle system. I have found with my hammock, at least, I don't know how yours works, that I need that buckle to be exactly this far from the little plastic end right here. And that's where my hammock will sit perfectly centered in there. So if I have it that far on both sides, pinky to thumb, than that. So when you're playing with your hammock and you find like, hey, this is where I like it, to where I'm not too far on one side or the other, do a body measurement of it so that you can, you don't lose body. Well, you do lose body parts, but you're less likely to lose body parts than you are a tape measure or something. You got to carry one of those. So now I'm going to do a similar thing on the other side, except I am not going to go that length down because that is where my hammock ends up. I'm going to have the buckle about here somewhere, not real far down, just so that I can loop it in and then pull tight to get it to that area, if that makes sense. So this isn't overly complicated, but I don't know if I can do it with just one hand. Loosen one side. Okay, red means head on mine. Gray is, feet. It doesn't rhyme, but red is head. All right, so you just put it around both of these hooks. Trying to do it and watch your camera at the same time. Doubly difficult. Come on, I just want that part. Okay, I'm struggling. Don't mind me. We'll edit this out or something, okay? Okay. All right, look, hey, we're all through there. Yeah, that's all I was going for. All right, and then this thing just unrolls by itself. La-da-dee, la-da-da. We grab the other end, the gray end, and then we hook it onto those ones, and then cinch tight. That's it. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Except I can't do it one-handed. I've just proven that. All right, once you have it on and affixed, grab your strap and pull really, really tight. Like, really tight. All right, and we're right about there, a little bit off, about a thumb width off. And then when you sit in it, it's actually going to sink down a little bit and make some creaking noises, which we shall do now. All right, and then I go back and cinch this side to take up the slack for those crunchy noises. And now it'll sit about the height that I am looking for, to where, I'm sitting with my legs at like a 90 degree. I'm sitting like I'm in a chair. I can lean down in front of me and do my cooking and stuff on the ground. Everything's cool. My tarp goes, if you can see, hold on, let me turn this around. You see my tarp goes all the way, my stake is out there. You can see that. Yeah, so I got that one there. The other one is right there. So I've got, not quite to there, because if I go all the way to that area, if any water event happens, stuff along there will get wet. So I try not to go beyond like right about here, which I don't need much more stuff. I also have all this storage room behind me. Look at all that. And then I know, since, this is where I'm going to be, I will set my Tyvek up right along here, and I have everything I set up in a very specific order. When you only have so many items, just be very thorough with organization. It's important out here. Always put your stuff exactly where it's supposed to go. That way, when you wake up in the night and you're looking for something, you can almost always find it. I used to lose stuff in my tent all the time, because since you have walls, you're less afraid of stuff spilling out or something. I don't know. But in a hammock, I'm way more organized with my stuff on the ground. Normally, I'd hang my food off the edge of my hammock, but I'm in grizzly territory, so I will be finding somewhere to hang it. Probably not the best hang ever, because, these trees, look around. Yeah, where are we hanging it from? All these branches are tiny little branches that angle down. There's not many good options, and anything that I could hook it around is something that is so easy for a grizzly to climb. It's like, why did I even put it up there? I put more energy into getting it up there than he took into getting it down. Oh, that tree is really popular with bees. Something huge. What was that? It's just my imagination. It was just the things flapping. Anyway, I'm rambling. Got to get set up so I can eat. And sometimes at this point when I'm, doing my thing, I think it'd be really smart to start cooking. Set my stuff over there and start cooking. But that's something you need to pay attention to. And I have specific order of stuff in my pack, so I can't get that stuff out until I have my Tyvek down to set the stuff on. Because, it's not like sitting right at the top. And I don't lay my Tyvek down until I'm done doing all the stuff to my hammock, like putting my puffies on the bottom and putting my foam inside. Actually, I'm not even going to put my puffies on the bottom because I have this foam. Because I don't want to be walking all over the Tyvek, because I don't walk on my Tyvek with shoes on. Come into my house with shoes on is a rule. You wear slippers, but not shoes. So part of hiking is hitching, so you got to have signs. Not a murderer works great. Going my way, never actually used it. CD hiker to trail, I tried that first. Eventually I go for not a murderer when these just fail. And then hungry hiker to town. Please help. Please help. Yeah. I thought about drowning Jesus fish on there too. But these do help. All right, so I know my parameters because I know where my spikes are, right there and whatnot. The door comes in at an angle, so I know I need to be back from there. And that is my safe zone for when it is raining. And it gives me a spot to put my feet that is, cleanish. And then I wrestled my foam in here. It wasn't easy to get a tubular object into a horizontal slit. But, I did it. I did it. And this is my order of everything. I've got my hat over there. It's also my charging station. I'll put my batteries, my phone and stuff on there to keep it off of the ground so it doesn't sap its heat as much. I got my headlamp. I got my bear spray. I got my little bear grenade that makes noise. Got my pipe and lighter. Got another flashlight. Got my safety supplies. My little cookware. That's where I keep my foodstuffs until generally I hang it off the edge of my hammock. But, we'll find a nice suitable spot to hang it out there. And then just all my extra junk and solar panels in the corner. My backpack goes on top of the black garbage bag that I carry inside of it to keep it cleanish and dryish. So it's got its own bed. And then the flag hangs proudly. And that is Camp Crawler in a nutshell. We're going to sit here and put on our super manly rainbow little slippers so that we can step into our home. I'm not going to put my puffies on the outside. They're going to be armrests, have one under each elbow. It is so comfortable. And then I have this little bag here for, just important stuff I want to keep stuff in. It can click on anywhere. I have tons of these little things. Actually, I get them from Amazon. Working there, they're just kind of free on a piece of equipment. It has 3 of them on it, I believe. And, I'm allowed one of those a week. So I just take one home every once in a while, cut a few of the buckles off of them and use them for stuff. They just click onto these things really well. There's a nice satisfying click noise. It's on there. It's going to stay there. Oh, and utilizing clippy things for my solar panel, the way I do it. On the front, I use just normal little carabiners, just these guys for the front ones. But the back ones, to hook it on, I use a different version of that hook that they sell at Dutchware Gear. These were on one of my other hammocks, so I save everything. I'm like, oh, these are nice. They're all made of titanium. They're really nice. They make a satisfying tinkling noise when I have them all on a piece of string and I'm like shaking it. It's very satisfying. It just is. All right, so now I'm going to throw the tarp over the top, hook it up to the other ones, be in there, use the last 4 stakes to button up my doors, and I'm safe inside for the night. As safe as one can be on the other side of sil nylon, hanging in a bear burrito at mouth height. Right next to a water source so he can wash me down properly, because I bet I'm dry. I'm dehydrated. All right. Let's cook something for dinner. Finishing touches are you put your trekking pole up against there to give you a little more headspace. Pro tip is when you are putting your stakes in for your door, they are generally, like, is that one? Where the hell's my stakes at? I see the string, but I don't see the stake. Optical illusion. Oh, it totally is. It's right in front of me. But they normally go right near the center of your doors. There's one there. There's one on the other side. You just can't see because the backpack. On the side that I'm entering and exiting, that's the stake that I remove one from, so it opens this door. And the other stake is way over here so that I don't step on it and impale my foot coming and going through here. I might trip over the line, but I'm not going to impale my foot. That freaks me out. I saw an x-ray of one last year where it had embedded itself into the kid's foot and he had to walk his happy ass out to get it removed for him. I don't want to be that guy. Okay, and that concludes our tutorial of how the crawler hangs. I'm going to switch into my sleepy time clothes and crash the hell out and go hiking again tomorrow. I'll see you in the morning. Good night.